Hi everyone. Hello, hello. I'm happy to welcome you to our session. I'm a session today, and my name is Yuriy, and I'm founder of Let's Not, and I'm happy to welcome our guests from KYVE, Fabian, CAO, and John, CTO. So, guys, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
I'm also fine, thanks. And you, Fabian?
We're great. Thanks for having us here. It's going to be some exciting time for sure.
Sure. We have a bunch of questions. So, cool. Could you please introduce yourself? So, who is the team behind KYVE? Where are you from, guys? Yeah, and what's your patient,
Sure,
please?
happy to take over. It's actually a special day today because we find out that it's exactly 1 year from now that we started KYVE. So it's KYVE's first birthday today. So
Happy
that's really
birthday.
exciting. And maybe it's just some infos about me first. So I'm Fabian from Germany, like dead center Germany, near Frankfurt, roughly. Software developer and always passionate about coding and stuff. And then got into crypto late 2019 at a hackathon. We were just developing some solutions out there. Got into the whole Arweave space in was like summer 2020, I would guess, and was just developing an app there called Verify, which was basically we were analyzing network traffic, and by that we knew which address were most likely scammers or like machine operated addresses, and then basically yeah, this was kind of the first project I did. Needed some help on someone who could help me developing that, and then I just wrote in the Arweave Discord, and then John said, "Hey, I'm here." So I was like, "Hey, that's great." That's how I met John, like high COVID times. Saw him in real life actually half a year later, probably, right? Like we haven't met in real life for a long time. And this is how this whole story got started. And then it was exactly right 1 year from today, we started working on a bounty for bridging Polkadot data over to Arweave. It was called PolkaWeave at first, and we switched the name obviously. And it was one script, and then the scripts turned into more scripts, and suddenly we had a project and the business as well. So that's kind of the exciting starting times. I would say maybe John can add some words to that.
Yeah, of course. So hi, I'm John. I'm originally from Colorado, but for the past 3 years, I've been living in England, near the Cambridge area. So I've been a software developer for a long time, but got into like my first experience with crypto was in 2019 when I was doing a London-based internship for a startup there. And we were, taking IoT sensor data from Raspberry Pis and Arduinos and then putting that on chain. So that was like my first experience with crypto. Always followed along with it. And then at the height of the COVID pandemic in England, uh, during lockdown, stumbled upon Arweave and joined the community there. Loved the tech and actually met some great people there, which we then ended up creating the first decentralized exchange on Arweave. So I helped them start that. And then from there, like Fabian said, he put out a call for developers in the Discord there, and then helped Fabian. And then exactly 1 year ago, got on a call with him for like hours, hacked together the first proof of concept, and then built from there. So yeah.
Cool. So, what does it mean? The first time you meet each other, it's kind of the last year, right? For
Oh
sure.
yeah, it was. I came over to John for visiting him. So our CEO Facila was the first external team member joining me and John. I met her before that at the Ethereum conference in Paris. John unfortunately couldn't attend, right, because COVID is just up and downs in Europe, right? And so yeah, I know I just flew over. I think it was August time, maybe. No, it was later. Was it later?
September, early September.
September time, stuff like that. Flew over and it was so surreal, right? Because we've been working for like roughly a year at that point together, seeing each other every day, right? Talking for hours. And then you just see that guy in person and he's just like he is on camera, right? It's really nothing special. I don't know. You have like such high expectations when you go and think, oh, it's so cool. You're going to meet him in person. And then it was just John, it was great. We had a lot of fun. And then I think I stayed for a few days, right? And then you came over to Germany, saw my side of the story as well. And then after that, I don't know, we just that's it. But actually, I saw quite some team members before I saw John in person, so that's exciting.
Great. Yeah.
Okay, this means the whole team are online, right? So you're
Yeah, exactly. So we're all online. So the dev team, we're expanding that right now. They are all from Germany, kind of my area. We also have a local office here where we just occasionally get together and work here. And then the rest of the team, designer, community manager, are from France. We have some digital nomads, which are traveling around whole Europe. And then we have one person from the US as well. But we like mostly, I would say, like German and Europe focused. So yeah, just time for John to come over to Germany, I guess. So we all united here. Yeah.
Cool. So das heißt, alle spricht auf Englisch, oder?
Alle sprechen Englisch, das ist richtig. I'm surprised you know some German. John, he just said he assumes we all speak in English. But yeah, we do. We all. So yeah.
That's cool. That's cool, guys. Okay, then, yeah, for sure we will lead this AMA in English, guys. So we have another question. Please explain us what is the KYVE project about? I mean, we understood you are storing the data, and but there is a lot of other projects are also storing the data. So what is the inspiration of creating this project? What's behind it? Please.
Sure. So basically, the thing which makes KYVE kind of exceptional is that we build it with decentralization in mind, right? So our goal was kind of always, okay, like how is it like a fully decentralized like protocol from like day 0 to now? So that's kind of what we've been focused on, as well as actually utilizing We've done not many projects yet which found that gem of a technology really, which we are bootstrapping to kind of make that happen. And I also think the uniqueness is that we are able to come up with a way to connect with that many sources pretty easily, right? And kind of take it from there, as well as like the built-in validation is also a thing which is really not that common in crypto world yet. Like we all know, right, some big indexing protocols which are out there, but they have the problem that they need to aggregate the data from multiple places, and they really don't know where to get it from, and third-party infrastructure goes down. We are experiencing that really like all day, and so this is kind of the way which makes KYVE unique. Is actually that we have all the data in this one place.
Okay, cool. Then we will go deeper in this point, guys, a little later. By the way, why KYVE? What does it mean? There is 4 big letters.
Yeah. Took us a while to come up with that. Like Fabian said, it was originally KYVE, and then of course we need something more generic. So we went through a few names, and then just like randomly out of the blue, like at the end of the day, you know, like we're a lot of things, but at the end of the day, we are archiving data. And so it really was just like archive. And then we took that and then made it into KYVE. And then of course, changed the spelling up to make it look cool. So KYVE, there's like no meaning behind it. It's not an acronym. It's literally just, it came from archive.
It's cool. Well, it looks cool, really. So, okay, a little bit summarized. You have the main blockchain data are stored using the Riewe protocol, right? So you have probably, like we know, we have pools, and those pools, it's a bunch of validators.
Yes.
Just like shards, yeah, kind of. But the shards localized depend on the area, and your pools depend on the data it stores, right? Okay, good. And could you please explain a bit more about the pools, how they are working, and can they communicate together? Do they need to communicate together?
Yeah, sure. So the pools cannot communicate with each other. They're basically their standalone unit. And that's kind of the way we have designed it, because we thought KYVE needs to be basically built for multiple integrations at the same time. And one integration always kind of has one purpose, right, which is storing this specific piece of data. And then, so those nodes are then basically grouped in a pool. And the pool is kind of this overlying unit for all those nodes, as well as our nodes also don't directly communicate with each other, as you might know it from other chains. So one pool is really like this separate unit, right? One pool has its completely own configuration and has its completely own uploader and things like that right now. But basically they all work together by the end by being combined with the same KYVE token, right? So the KYVE token is what unifies all those pools together. You can really think about it for the more DeFi people in here, right? Like a liquidity pool, right? Also the liquidity pools with each other, they don't communicate, but they kind of this standalone thing, then connected with this application. This is exactly what KYVE is doing. And we're also seeing pools being created for actually the same integration, but different use cases. So for example, in the current release, you need to have snapshots which start at block 0 and then do big chunks of data going up, and also one live integration, which is then listening to live data. Actually, in the new update coming out, we have combined those two functionalities into one, so there's no need to create multiple pools anymore, but you can absolutely do that, right?
So if I understood you correctly, guys, your validator can participate only with one node in one pool.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. So but the cool thing is, because they're all individual from another, you can operate basically multiple nodes and multiple pools with the same key file, right? So of course
The same key file.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Question: how powerful should you have your configuration for one node?
That's what's really cool, actually. So it really comes down to the integration. So for now, it really just comes down to bandwidth, because all the integrations right now are doing is talking to whatever this truth of source is from this L1 or L2 that we're integrated with, pulling down that data, and then validating it, just a normal hash comparison against whatever was uploaded to Riewe. So as far as like current integrations go, you don't need much compute power at all. We're not like asking you to run a Bitcoin or Ethereum miner type rig. But of course, like because computation is also possible inside of a KYVE integration, you could have a more complex integration. Say, for example, you're running an ML algorithm, right? And then archiving that result. So it really comes down to the integration. But for now, you don't need any fancy requirements.
Okay, means no disk capacity used to store the data.
Exactly, because the nodes basically all they do is for now just relaying the data, and for that you really just need like a good internet connection. Like the more bandwidth you have, right, the better. You don't need, of course, some small disk space, but anything sub 30 GB is absolutely, it's way more than enough, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, cool. I mean, like, okay, good. But if, for example, I have a pretty good machine, can I run in multiple nodes, right, for different pools in the same machine by configuring the ports, right?
Exactly, yeah. In fact, I run sometimes in our dev environment, I'm running up to like six nodes for all these different pools on my laptop. Works perfectly fine.
Cool. Yeah. You don't even need to configure multiple ports, and you don't need to have any fancy configuration, because the nodes, right, they don't talk with each other on a node level. They only communicate basically by transactions on the smart contract. So there's nothing even fancy you would need to expose. We're now adding in some, because we have some more professional node runners, right, which require some more monitoring on the nodes. And then, of course, right, once you get into the more advanced features, of course, you need some more advanced configuration. But if you're really just a beginner, you just want to, like, maybe it's your first one. I would say KYVE might be a perfect project to actually, if you're a beginner, you know some tech stuff, and it's super easy to spin up your own node, right? Maybe also because John and I in the beginning, we had no clue about like operating nodes and stuff like that, and maybe that's the good thing. So we started out easily, so we could actually maintain them ourselves. So let's see.
It's cool, guys. Yeah. Okay. You give a lot of food for thinking. Okay, so but if I would like to run the pool, yeah, how many roles I need?
So
I need to light the pool, yeah.
So the way it works is you create a pool by using our governance functionality, which is also going to be rolled out in a few days. And so basically then you would create the proposal, hey guys, I would like to create this pool. And then our community would vote on, yes, that's fine. And then you would create that pool. And then the pool doesn't have any owner, right? Because it's completely decentralized. It's a smart contract on the blockchain. And then basically, because you would be the first one, for example, which then runs the node in that pool, your node would start out as the uploader, right? You would start collecting the data, upload it to Riewe, things like that. And then, of course, other nodes would join that network, right? And then kind of working on that. And then the cool thing actually is that you can configure payout rates and things like that on a pool level, right? So if you ever want to incentivize more people to join your pool, you can just increase the payout rate to, of course, incentivize more nodes, right, to join that and things like that.
Okay, understood. Okay, and the rewards from participating in the pool you can get in the KYVE tokens, right?
Exactly.
Okay, interesting, good. Yeah. By the way, guys, there is one question from our community. What key problems in the first pool of Avalanche, if it was for sure your first pool, were identified and solved in the test network?
We had a bunch of problems in the beginning.
like we've had so many problems.
And probably not an avalanche only, right?
Yeah, definitely not an avalanche only. But we've reached a point now where like the main problem in not just the avalanche pool, but all of our pools is when the RPC endpoints that we're using, whether or not that's the ones run by the foundation or, you know, public or private or whatever that may be, they go down. So for example, the problem with the avalanche pool, I think it was a month ago now, was the fact that the avalanche team just stopped supporting WebSockets. And like nobody was notified, anything like that. So when we realized, like, it's just like, oh, the avalanche pool is down. That's weird. It shouldn't be down, right? And so we look into it and it's just like, oh yeah, it's just the WebSocket endpoint is down. That's nice, right? So a majority of the time, the problems that we actually face are just, you know, dealing with all those different endpoints, because obviously if you're just working in one ecosystem, it's a lot easier to just be like, oh yeah, we're just going to use this endpoint and it's really stable. But of course, when you're integrated with a majority of L1s, it is, you know, you got to keep up with all that stuff.
And actually, one cool analogy I think we can put out was we were a bit naive. So in the beginning, KYVE was an Arweave-based smart contract, and on Arweave there's no gas. Like you can spam the network, it works, right? But the problem is it's not made for big scale, and this was kind of turned us down a bit. It's like we had massive scaling problems on that. So then and because there's no gas, we had no requirements on nodes or anything. Maybe if some of the KYVE OGs are here, you still remember that time. And then we switched over actually to Solidity contracts, right? And we're a bit naive and thought we could maintain the structure with unlimited nodes. And we were deploying on the Moonbase testnet. And I think I think it was in November time, right? October, November time, we had like 10,000 nodes, right? Like 10,000 people like spinning up nodes, running them. And then just the Moonbase team just texts us like, hey guys, is there any chance? What's going on? We can't onboard any other, can't onboard any other projects. Is there anything you can do? We're like, oh shit, right? And then we also thought, okay, it's not the best idea to keep it unlimited. And that's actually why we had to add in the limit of those like 20 nodes to actually keep the network a bit under control, right? And make sure we don't clog up the Moonbase network and things like that. And this is the reason why we had to limit ourselves. And then also, I think this was also a bit naive of us, right? We always thought delegation and stuff is like a cool feature. We always thought it's like nice to have, you can delegate. Now we're noticing like, oh damn, it's like actually like a technical requirement, right? Because only like some amount of nodes can be active, but you need to keep this like economic security by having the stake. So how do we get people to stake, right? And this is actually then how delegation came up. And we thought like, oh, this is the reason why actually delegation exists, right? And not really because it's like a cool feature. So it's like really nice to, I would say, like also slow learning curve with that coming from like a non-EVM ecosystem over to now living on Ethereum contracts and things like that. It's like exciting to see how the tech has to evolve in order to make that possible.
Yeah, you turned into the dark side of gas.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so good, but let's talk about distillation then, guys. How distillation works in your protocol. How, for example, I'm an uploader of the data, right? And I want to upload some stupid things which is not relevant to the data you stored in the pool. How this can be checked, how this can be prevented, and how can I get into the jail?
Right. Okay. So the uploader or network leader, or whatever you want to call it, is the one that is randomly selected. That's a randomly selected node that is then chosen to be the one to upload the data to Arweave. And so let's say, for example, that you're the network leader and the data that you upload is malicious. Well, so in order to actually become the network leader, you have to have two things, which is one, a self stake. So you yourself have to stake some KYVE tokens. And then two, you have to have some voting power, which is given to you by people delegating to your node. So there's kind of two things in place there. But let's say that you've gone ahead and uploaded some malicious data. Well, then the validators, after you've registered that piece of data, will then pull that down. And then they'll be like, wait a second, this doesn't quite match. And then, of course, they're going to vote against you. And then if more than 50% of the network votes against you, then, of course, there's a slashing mechanism in place, which is actually really cool because we've updated it where the node that misbehaved only loses the stake that they've put in. So when you're delegating, there's no risk. So that's also good for you as well. So you can delegate to a node, and I guess the only risk you can have is basically just not receiving rewards because that node went offline or was slashed or something like that.
Okay, okay, good. So you're losing your self bonds.
Exactly.
Part of it, right? Okay.
Yep.
Cool. That's pretty motivated to avoid some stupid things.
Exactly. Yes. we hope. Yeah.
And how you choose this leader? Do you have kind of eras, epochs that every time your leader is changed time to time? How it works?
Exactly. So a new leader is actually chosen per proposal. So when we say proposal, that's basically just a bundle of data. So whether or not that's live data from the chain or a snapshot of, like, say, 200,000 blocks, right? So whatever the proposal is in that piece of data that you're voting on, when that's completed, we select a new random or pseudo-random network leader based on your self stake as well as your voting power as well through delegation.
Based on these things. But if you say this is like the voting means kind of DAO, right? So the DAO, I mean, pool, it's the DAO of it's like DAO pool, right? And then, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you can really think about it as like a DAO on like a node level, right? So the uploader is the one which is proposing about, like, hey, this is the data I'm going to upload. Does it look good to you, right? And then the nodes, they do the check, and then they get to the same result and saying, hey, this looks good to me, right? And then they vote on that, and then the proposal gets through and gets processed. So it's really like a DAO structure, you could say.
Okay, and the DAO mechanism how is the DAO mechanism implemented? The node, you have to initialize the DAO or the proposal in the Discord channel, for example, or is there any other voting process involved in the KYVE?
So this all happens automatically on the smart contract. So it's really just the nodes. So the nodes they are completely autonomous. They do all this stuff on their own, and they are interacting with the pool smart contract, and it's all handled inside the smart contract. And I mean, it can take only seconds, right? Like, it's super fast, like the voting and stuff, how it goes. It's not some long-term progress.
Okay, I understood. Everything automated. So you do not. If I want to make a proposal, how can I register it? I need to communicate with smart contracts with my.
So we're talking about the DAO inside of the pool itself.
Yeah.
So in order to actually be able to create votes and vote inside of a pool DAO, you basically need to register yourself as a node. That's basically.
Okay, good. Yeah, I will check, guys, a few questions from our questionnaire here. Yeah, so you talked about the limitations, right? These 20 nodes which can participate in one pool, that's their limitation, right? So I can't run more than 20 nodes in the pool.
Yes, exactly. There cannot be more than 20 nodes active in one pool at the same time. Exactly. But what you can do is you can increase the configuration of the pool and say, well, in this pool now 40 nodes are active. But it's always like a limited set of nodes, right?
Okay.
And the cool thing is you can increase this limit on a protocol level. So what I'm predicting is, say, in Mainnet, we're going to launch it with X number of nodes, but then of course it's up to the community. If the community wants more nodes or less nodes in a pool, they can vote on that, updating that parameter for the protocol.
Okay, get it. So this probably is answered. Okay, how many different KYVE testnets and get into okay, how can we, simple guys, not runners, participate differently in the KYVE testnet as we can get into any pool?
Yeah, that's actually something which is a bit of a downside with now the limit of course, only 20 nodes, right? Our community is way too big. I mean, they will always fill out those like 100 slots, whatever it is, right? And so what you can do in order to do that is, if you really want to run your own node, that's a bit unfortunate because there is like no way to get into that, right? But what you can do is you can use your tokens and delegate them to other node operators, either like your friends or some group of people you might know, right? Delegate it to them, earn the rewards, and then use the rewards you have earned to maybe like rank up in like some top 20 nodes, and then kind of getting in there. So that's something how you guys, which are not able to run the node, are able to really, how would I say, support us, right, in the testnet by like utilizing some features and things like that.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, probably this is something, guys, what you're building really unique. But anyway, I have one question from the community. Do you have any competitors? What do you think? Maybe a pocket network. I've heard they're also proposing kind of storing the data from the blockchains, probably the different configuration as you, but any.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say we have like some immediate competitor, right? But we would say like this is exactly what we are doing. It's like everyone is good at like some different focal points where we are not focusing on, right? So let's give like the explanation of like, for example, KYVE and Pocket, right? So on Pocket is like really kind of this relay network of nodes, right? They're not like too much focused on the storage aspect. They're more like forwarding data from A to B, right? But we are kind of really focused on building this big archive of data, right? It's the same with like, and then we actually see ourselves very complementary to other protocols out there. Let's take the graph as an example, right? The graph has exactly that problem that they need to get the data from some place, right? Which mostly is like other nodes and other blockchains, and they need to pull it from there, and this takes time. We know, for example, I mean, Solana is a good example, right? Not all the nodes have all the data, things like that, right? So how are they going to handle with that? And we can see that kind of people, which on one side you could argue, well, kind of our competitor because they're dealing with data as well, right? But no, not really, because we are actually their base layer foundation. Because if we store all the data for them, then they can just use it, right? And in order to get access to the data, they need to interact with KYVE, right? And this just works very, very well without the token model we have laid out, basically to have this stuff in place. So it's really kind of cool for us to be like this pipeline which brings all the data into one place. There's no one out there right now which is doing exactly like that. We also have the benefit that we are very early on Riewe founders. Riewe, right, is still like a bit I said it, I think earlier, like a hidden tech gem. It's like a very, very powerful technology which haven't allowed many people to kind of build on top of that. And I think we also made some good job of like bootstrapping Riewe's functionality into a well-working storage framework.
Cool. For example, once more, I'm a person who wanted to start a pool, right? So I need to bring the liquidity to this pool. That's my main idea, right?
Well, yes and no. So you can start a pool without bringing the initial funding, right? That works. Like that's not a problem. You can propose, hey, I would love to see that pool. Can someone do that? But you of course need to find someone who brings the initial funding. And this is actually the part where KYVE really gets into this like B2B, like business to business crypto thing, right? Because you always need to have someone who would be interested in getting access to that data, right? And needs to be able to pay for that. And we see exactly those protocols, right? Like Graph, like LFSIM on Solana and some other indexes exactly in that role, right? Because they have the most trouble getting access to the data. So what they're going to do is, right, they're going to purchase KYVE tokens and then supply the initial funding. And then also because they built their business model on top of KYVE and they rely on our data, right, they're highly incentivized to keep up the pool running.
And the cool thing is that the more people that are relying on the data, the cheaper it gets for everyone participating, right? Because it's still going to cost the same to run the pool. It's just that there's, instead of yourself, it's like 10 people, which is split evenly. So
exactly.
I get it. I have some small letter problem. Do you hear me, guys?
Yep.
Okay, nice. I was laughing because now I understand this phrase, our partners, our bakers are our partners.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I get it. Good. Okay, cool. It means that if I'm asking about your partners, and their partners are they're really cool. There's Solana I saw, and some other you can probably share with us, and they are probably interested into the running these pools, right? They would like to store the data because even now the Solana Mainnet ledger is around 68 gigabytes if it's not archived. So one day they need to use you guys, right?
Exactly. And Solana is actually probably one of the perfect examples of why KYVE becomes more important even in the future, right? Because what happened on Solana, it's so much data. Actually, the only public known endpoint, which is all the data, is the one from Solana's foundation. All the others, like Serum and others, they prune their local database to reduce costs on their end. And then, of course, right, you start off with like a decentralized network, but then all the decentralization, right, moves forward, all the nodes, and they keep reducing all data. And then suddenly you end up with centralization, right? Because then like only if partners actually have all the data, you don't know if you can trust them, right? That's a good question, because you don't know what happened to the data. Of course, verifiable, but you have to go basically through all of that to verify. And this is why KYVE is important. And also for more the Ethereum people at the audience, right? EIP 4444 basically is exactly saying this. Is saying, hey, actually, in terms for we should start pruning some of the Ethereum data in order to make it more sustainable. And actually, we at KYVE say, yes, you need to do that. That's absolutely right. But keep the data stored, and in best case, use KYVE to store the data, right? Because we are exactly built for exactly those use cases. And chain will hit those limitations at some point, because you can't expect from your node operators to at the end maintain a huge data center which is able to like give all out the data and like super fast stuff and things like that. So like solutions like KYVE or like those infrastructure projects, they will emerge, right? Because these projects, they just keep getting those problems keep getting bigger and bigger on really any chain happening. And we also see we need to treat this with a bit of confidentiality on our side, but we see some new projects reaching out to us which say, hey, we suddenly saw some immense growth on our side. We know that we might not be able to maintain it because we're only very small in the beginning. Can you please help us and support us? And it's actually when we say, yeah, sure, we can step in that. We can take this data storage load off you because we can handle for that. We are optimized for that. So you can basically continue with what you can do best, which is hopefully produce tons of transactions, right? And then kind of this whole system is like this enclosed thing where basically you have the fast data production at the start, and then they just all routed through KYVE. Then it stays on Arweave at the end. So you have like a full stack of your new kind of Web3 infrastructure.
Okay, get it. No, this is really cool. I mean, no one think about this when they start probably that they're just ledgers, so the data will grow up so fast that they can't just simply store it somehow, and they have to reduce the amount of data they can save on the local nodes, and then you just came up that you don't know what was the past, right? From the past.
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
and this is also, I would say, one of the use cases I'm most excited about, seeing developers build some kind of KYVE native chain with exactly this thought in mind. Because what you can do is you can build a network which creates transactions at like Solana speed, right? But then you just route them all through KYVE, because we can handle that without a problem. We can store hundreds of megabytes in one bundle. It's really not a problem. Because then you build this with like basically this native thing built in. You can outscale kind of any chain at that point, as long as you make sure that you validate the transactions at speed, right? And then what we can do is like you can immediately partner with some indexing services and stuff like that to allow the developers to access the data which KYVE is storing, right? And then you have this, as I said, right, full Web3 stack with like some super fast chain which is doing that. It doesn't need to worry about where to store the data, because we're taking over that.
Cool. Yeah. Good. Okay. Yeah, we have the question, probably you already answered, but I wanted to clarify once more about the utility of the KYVE token. So this is, if you, for example, participate in one of the pools, let's take example, Moonbeam, the token is Glimmer, right? So how you can start this pool is if you have some amount of KYVE token, you have as well as some amount of Glimmer token, and you have to bring them in the exact number of the prices, or what?
Yeah. So you don't need any foreign token to run in the KYVE pool. You don't need, it's just KYVE token only, because we don't operate with the other chain. We just take the data where we don't need any tokens for, right? Say even if you've never heard of Fabian super cool blockchain before, right? And you don't have my token, you can still use the storage pool because you have KYVE tokens, right? That's it.
You don't need to it means that you can store data not only for the blockchains, right? So you can store
you can use any chain. You can use any data source,
right?
Anything.
Okay. Like
and then
yeah.
So and then the utility of the KYVE token is actually this idea of this funding, right? Where you have backers which then fund your pool. And then the funding gets paid out over time as a reward, right, to the node operators, and then they own it. And then, of course, they can sell it again, and then backers need to buy it. this is like this closed cycle. And then, of course, you can delegate to a node, right, to earn rewards. It's really just this trickle down effect. It all starts out at the pool funding, which is the most important part. And so this is why we really need to make sure that we align the incentives correct for actually people to fund and start building up business cases on top of the data we provide for others.
Okay, yeah. Do you guys have some kind of fixed amount of KYVE tokens to start the pool, or?
No, not really. Because the cool thing about each pool is you can configure the payout. So the payout can either be, if it's like a super computationally heavy pool, then of course you can tailor your payout model more towards that. Or if you're storing a load of data, you can also tailor your payout model towards, you know, the number of bytes or whatever that you archived. So there's no minimum really that you need to like initially fund a pool. It's really just like you got to think about how long you want it to run for, and given your payout settings, how long is that? So
get it. Yeah. If you have probably the low amount of the low amount of token plan, then just you have nobody there. You have no person who participates in this pool, right?
Exactly. Or the nodes will come, they'll drain all the KYVE that you funded it with, and then it'll just basically stop because you're not incentivizing the nodes to continue running. So
get it. Thanks. So yeah, there is one speculative question. You could keep it in secret, but when the mainnet, guys?
We actually ourselves are not too sure about it yet, because we're still in testing phase, obviously, right? There are tons of improvements you can always make, and we of course need to figure out that. We really hope that we can make it possible to launch Mainnet this year, just because we have some integrations which would be good candidates which you could port over to Mainnet. There are one or two, of course, like technical blockers in that space, but I'm confident we can resolve them. So we are hoping for like I don't know, Q3, Q4 that year, if that's possible. I don't want to hard commit, right? Because we, of course, want to give out the best experience to everyone and not release some buggy mainnet, which then cause more trouble, right? They're just waiting for a few more weeks.
Yeah, but cool. We will try, guys, to help you figure out and find all bugs. So let us switch how we can help you guys, how the community, can help you guys. So we know, or we heard about ambassador program. It started very somehow occasionally and then stopped very soon. Yeah, so could you please explain your strategy about the ambassador program and yeah?
Sure. So the ambassador program was started, I don't know, three months ago or something like that, right? We have two types of ambassadors. So we have the crew, which are like the ambassadors we work, I would say, like the closest with, and like kind of the OGs of KYVE we're working with. And then we also have the KYVErs, which is a bit of a bigger group of like ambassadors, which we I think introduced rather recently. And the reason why it's close is just because we want to test how community reacts to that, right? What kind of value can they bring to KYVE in what way, of course, right? Actually, the reason why the application closed so soon is because after like a few days, we had like 250 or something applicants, and everyone, it was so great. They all submitted a video, things like that, and poor Paul had to go through all the videos and watch it. And we simply don't have the resources actually to be able to support that big of a group. So hopefully we can start slowly expanding that in smaller waves to bring them in. Other than that, community in general is a huge value add, right? Like those guys keep finding bugs, so we would never expect anything to be, right? Like you really kind of stress test us all day, which is what we love and what we want to do. Of course, there will be like incentivized testing that will be coming up and things like that, but I can't give too much information about that yet. But of course, right? But so stay tuned for that. And so of course, it's coming along very nice. We want to be as rewarding as possible, really, right? Because we wouldn't have been here a year later exactly without this huge community, right? So yeah.
I hope you guys really answer all the questions, speculative questions about if the testnet will be incentivized and they will be paid. Yeah, so thanks a lot, guys, for this answer. And I want to say, I opened the ambassador form. I decided, okay, I fill it out tomorrow. And tomorrow it was closed. So the next time I'll be more I'll be more faster.
You can just snipe it, maybe we do like a countdown or something. You can just reload it, right?
Sure.
Yeah, do not worry, the forums will be opening up again soon. Don't want to say when, but soon.
Yeah, everyone heard this. Okay, good. Some insight on this AMA. Thanks.
The rest of the team will probably kill us for all the stuff we say here, but we need to. Now it's not in our control anymore. Sorry for that.
Cool. Yeah. Cool, guys. Cam, if I become your ambassador, right? What will you expect from me? Are you pointed kind of your ambassadors should run the test notes, or you plan to use them in kind of a marketing stuff? How they can help you, for example? What do you think?
It's really anywhere where people anywhere where people can put like their value, and it's like KYVE itself is highly technical, right? And of course we are aware that we don't have like the highest technical people, but like we have people which are very good at marketing, at communication, at design, at creating fucking funny memes, right? Things like that. And we really want to value anything, right? Because this all brings not even us as a company, but also KYVE as a project really forward, right? So even if there's someone who has no clue about tech, right, but kind of gets what KYVE doing and is able to create some amazing content around it, well, that's absolutely fine for us, right? And we don't expect for an ambassador to like be able to run the notes, things like that. Like what helps us a lot to like reach local communities is actually translating content. It's great for us because we are, I think, like a mostly English speaking team, like some German and some French, of course, right? But especially not on the Asian side of the world. So and our ambassadors are doing a great job, right? Translating content there, reaching people there, which is also really important for us, which we also never thought would take this big of an amount. But it's crazy. It's really cool to see. Very exciting. We just hope that the guys translate the right stuff, right? Because we have no way to review that. But it's full trust for them, right? So yeah.
Okay, good, cool. So guys, I hope you heard that the KYVE is also interested in the translations. Be aware and be ready for joining the ambassador program when it opens. Okay. Then your answer, guys, on the question: will you increase the number of ambassadors? Thanks a lot. And the incentivized program will be someday open. So this is also answered. Thank you very much. And okay, just imagine at the end of the year and all bugs catched, and you are ready to go Mainnet. Yeah, for example, I'm joking about the end of the year. When you're ready, you already decided to go to Mainnet. How can be the Mainnet validators be chosen? What is your plan from the testnet participants or the holders? Kind of, what's your plan?
So the way we have imagined that now is basically we want to pay some tribute, of course, to the people which have supported us from the early days, right? So we're gonna do also if incentivized testnet comes up is if you've run the node earlier than that, you're gonna get a badge for testnet saying, look at that, like this guy knows what he's doing, he's here like kind of since day zero, right? We'll do the same for Mainnet as well, where you get like a badge like, hey, successful testnet operator, right? So this, of course, like this visual identity to like increase your trustness, right? And of course, for you to track more delegation, it's gonna be exactly the same stake and delegation mixture as it is right now, or as it will be in testnet, right? But of course, we really want to kind of reward our users to that. We're not sure about it. We also might think about that we maybe are going to delegate some in some form, right? Some tokens to those nodes to really show. I mean, you guys are really here since day zero, so we just need support you. I mean, you guys know the stuff better than we do, probably, right? So yeah, exactly. That's kind of how we have that in mind.
Kind of foundation, right? Delegation from the KYVE Foundation.
Yeah, exactly. Or like the DAO, cool. Something like that.
Amazing, guys. Yeah, really cool. Nice that you will support your test noders. Okay. Yeah. Let's switch to your partners, for example. I know Solana. I know Riewe probably is your partner. I'm not sure.
Yes.
probably probably you become more and more partners with time, right? So do you have any ideas or plans who will join you in the future, or you don't know it?
We have ton of partners already. So I think from a chains, right? So Avalanche is one of our official partners as well. We have sorry, let's just get confused that John left. So we have Riewe, we have Avalanche, we have Solana as a signed partner. We have Aurora as people from Aurora, people from Moonbeam. We have other people from really other L2s. I mean, if you Octopus Network is in, you can best probably double check the website. I don't want to forget anyone to mention, but we kind of already have like kind of all the big L1s in. We're now focusing a lot towards L2s, and now we're focusing a lot of upcoming projects, right? To exactly do that, what I said earlier, right? Helping them to bootstrap exactly that and say, well, if you use KYVE from the start, you will have less pains going on. I see in the chat Cosmos. Exactly, Cosmos, of course, one of our like very early partners. I think one of the first ones as well. And yeah, that's kind of it. Oh, and John is back. That's perfect.
Hello.
Cool. Okay. Probably the tokenomics of the KYVE token also will be developed close to the mainnet, right? So right now you don't have any ideas what the percentages will be, when, and so on. What is the TGA? You have any ideas or?
Exactly. So this is actually something we haven't figured out yet. I mean, publicly for sure. I mean, internally we of course have some like plans for that structured out. But this is of course something we also work closely with our investors with, right? Because to be honest, right, with tech people, we focus around the tech, and we don't have expertise, of course, in any area. So this is kind of the stuff where we do get external help to really do like some nice structure for that. But of course, right, once we have some official information, we will of course release that to anyone, right? Being transparent about that, and the way that stuff works. And of course, we need to focus a lot on external partnerships, right? Because that's what we rely mostly on. So I would assume that this is also the way the tokenomics will be structured, right, in terms of layouts and stuff like that.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I will check as our questions from the community.
Sure. I saw one question asking where you can get the T-shirts. Actually, there is no way. John and I printed them in Lisbon, and that's it. There are 2 existing. Whole team is jealous because we got you. There's no other KYVE merch out. Actually, if you is at ETH Denver for the conference, we are there for a few days. We're also giving a talk there. And we have some stickers, so we can give out some stickers if you want any. We can do that. Unfortunately, we don't have any other merch, but this is also some of the stuff we're working on in the background. Yeah.
A good question, Kevins. So you have a conference in Denver, right? Soon. Do you have any other conference plans to visit? Because probably they're somewhere in these countries or maybe in the Europe. So share please the events calendar with us.
Yes, so it's nothing of that is 100% confirmed yet, but we will most likely be on the Avalanche Summit in Barcelona, maybe the Ethereum conference, which is around that time too. We will for 100% be in Paris for ECC there, and maybe in Milano for some time as well. That's like the stuff I know about. I'm not 100% sure if I missed anything like that, but we can publish something if people are very interested in that around the stuff.
Cool. I checked all the questions. Your guys really answered all of them almost. Yeah, from one or other sides, they ask the information you already gave us. Yeah, I think I have one, maybe 2 questions more. So probably in 1 year you see, or we hope you're going mainnet, right? But what about 5 years? What do you think will happen in 5 years?
Yeah, I think if we're able to grow at its speed and kind of set complete the missions we want to set, we should see KYVE be the backbone of most blockchain protocols out there, whatever they will look like, right? If it's going to be a multi-chain world, maybe just like a few chains which are very successful. I mean, we don't know that, right? But we hope that KYVE really is this critical middleware of Web3 and kind of supporting that, right? Like you have like an Intel chip on like basically mostly any PC out there, right? This is kind of how we see KYVE, right? Like this piece of component which is built in to a blockchain, ensuring them that they are able to store the data efficiently. That's, I think, the biggest goal we can set for ourselves, and of course we are working towards too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's one more technical question probably you could answer. If does KYVE have default metadata for uploads? Are these indexed? Is there any GraphQL IP available? So how we can really queue the data? Yeah.
Yeah, I just saw exactly that comment. I actually wanted to comment on that. I can't give any too much public information about it, but there might be a way to access this very, very soon. Stay tuned. It's only a matter of days. And maybe there is a GraphQL API to index that. I'm just putting that out here.
Okay, guys. Thank
I
you
hope this answered the questions.
Yeah, you totally answered the question. Thanks, guys.
Who knows, right? Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, we hope. Guys, thank you very much for your time. To be honest, before for sure I read about your project, but you really helped me to understand these all things about the employers and validators, how they can participate. And I like your idea about the limitation. Okay, we needed this limitation for sure, but your project is really unique. I can't really compare it with something else. I would love to see how you guys grow, and I'll be participating. I will check your website for joining you, like ambassador. For sure, running the note here. Well, let's note, right? So, and yeah, thank you once more for your time. And probably you can say something to our community. We have like 300 people right now watching online.
It's 490 people. I was like, what's going on down there? That's super crazy. No, I mean, thanks everyone for participating in the AMA. If you have any additional questions, feel free to ask them like in text on our Discord later on, right? Discord is always open. This will not be closed after a few days, right? So feel free to ping up any questions if you have any. Paul needs to do some night shift. I'm sorry about that, but no, we're happy to really kind of answer all the questions, and we can happy to also do some more AMAs, things like that in person. It was a really nice vibe right here. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks Fabian. Thanks John. Yeah, cool. Thanks guys.